Hi gang, Rob here. It is the morning of 24 December 2015, Christmas Eve day, and to the sharpening bench comes a Christmas present early from my customer Eric down in South Carolina. This, my friends, is a regular Chris Reeve Sebenza. This one manufactured in March of 2000. And it is fashioned of BG42 steel. The change to S30V happened in about 2001. This has that old style, as we call it, bullnose blade. A little beefier top to bottom than the current clip point. And the belly terminates in what appears to be a little bit of a more robust tip. What's special about this knife, produced March of the year 2000? Well, for me, it's this. I'm trying to get this so you guys can see it. 8/9/2001 with a metal engraver. It is signed by Chris Reeve. Mr. Reeve himself. Now this one is a 15-year-old knife, and it's been used. When it came to me, it looked like it still had pretty much the factory edge profile. It had been, people had attempted to touch it up over the years, but I guarantee you the cutting edge on this regular Sebenza has never looked this good. And I would venture to guess that it's never cut this good either. Because it right now is an absolute laser. Whoops. And I have to tell you guys, it was not without a certain amount of trepidation that I first touched the stone to this blade. This is a 15-year-old, signed by Chris Reeve, regular Sebenza. That had really never been molested. Well, it's been molested now. I think to its betterment. And that BG42 is pretty easy to sharpen. It kind of reminds me a lot of 154 CM and how it behaves and while sharpening and the kind of edge it takes. Before I put this in the box and send it back south, let's look at some of the differences between our current Sebenza 21 and this regular Sebenza. So termed because after it was released in 1996 as the new generation Sebenza, changes from the original were made. The public, the Chris Reeve collecting and using public, started to clamor almost immediately to bring back their classic Sebenza, which had never been called a classic Sebenza because it was just a Sebenza. Well, in 2000, the release of the Sebenza Classic 2000 Sebenza happened, and it was made concurrently with this one, which was then termed the regular. So you had the regular and the classic for a few years. And let's look at the differences. First of all, you have these interesting flutes or grooves that run at the front of the frame slabs all the way along the spine and on the butt, and then they end here, and then of course we have this scalloping that occurs where the fingers lie. And I'll be honest with you guys, I've never had one of these in hand until now, and when I looked at them, and especially these scallops, I always thought, man, what a stupid idea. How can that be remotely comfortable? Well, you know what? It is. It's no issue at all. Here's something else I always thought odd. You have a big finger groove that starts here and ends here. Well, I know that's kind of odd. Is that really a finger groove? Well, you bet it is. Maybe it's easier to see it on this side. Because other than this scallop, which is for the skin of your index finger, it's a really smooth curve, and it accommodates, well, if you're back on the knife, it accommodates your index finger. If you're forward on the knife, it accommodates your middle finger and index finger quite ergonomically. Pretty cool. You'll notice some differences in hardware as well. The female cups have no driver heads on one side, because before people got the stupid idea of applying Loctite to their Sebenzas, there was no reason to have a driver on this side. Actually, if you stay out of the Loctite tube on your new Sebenzas, your Omnumzans, except for the pivot, etc., you don't need two drivers. But because stupid people decided they had to Loctite Chris Reeve fasteners, which don't need to be Loctited, they had to start putting female hardware that Torx driver heads in it. These will come apart just fine without the female side spinning, just because of the way that steel bites into titanium and the taper of the heads. Trust me. Also, the washers are a bit different on Sebenzas of this vintage. They have no perforations, just one large on the off side, the show side, and one small phosphor bronze washer on the lock side. I use a little cocktail like I do in Striders when I have these solid washers. It's part fluoro grease and part Hops gun oil, and it works just great. This is buttery smooth. I'll tell you one thing, machining, fitment 15 years ago on a Sebenza, regardless of its style, every bit as good as it is today. Just a beauty. Well, Eric, the post office is still open on Christmas Eve. So this one's going in the mail today. You should have it by Monday or so. Isn't it a beauty? That's all for this one, my friends. Grace to you and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. And remember, the word in Eric's regular Sebenza are sharp. Celebrate Emmanuel, God with us, my friends. Merry Christmas. Talk to you soon.